Hello, friends, in the series of learning computer organization and design. Today, we are going to focus upon one of the very important topic under input output organization, which is the direct memory access. So, let's start understanding about this topic in more detail. So, we have already covered the above topics as it's been mentioned here in the overview part, right? We have covered these above topics, and today the entire focus is on the direct memory access. So, what is the direct memory access? We have also introduced about this in the modes of transfer. We have learned that basically there are three modes of transfer. One was the programmed input output. The another one was the interrupted input output. And the third one was the direct memory access. So in both the first and second modes, what happened is that the peripheral or the IOs were only communicating with the processor. But in case of the third one, these IO devices can have the direct access to the memory unit. So this is what we are going to learn today. So we have already learned that in the DMA, there is a direct access to the memory, okay? And how that access to the memory by the peripherals is been taken, this has been done through this memory bus. So what happens in this case is always the CPU first of all initiate this process, okay? How the CPU initiates it? CPU will send some information to the interface, which will include that from which particular address we have to start referring the memory directly, okay, and how many number of words in the memory have to be processed under the DMA data transfer. So this entire information is being given the CPU to the interface. So accordingly, the DMA requests for the memory cycle from the memory, and once this request has been granted, then only the communication can be taken place between the DMA as well as the memory. So usually what happens is that this kind of the DMA kind of data transfer is you could say that is been done only for the devices which are having the faster access, like you could say that the disk devices, okay. But the point is that not all the devices, not all the peripherals are faster. So most of the time the peripherals are very slower devices. So that's why this kind of operation, the direct memory access, is usually very infrequently been done within the computer machine. So let's start understanding about the DMA and its functionality in more detail. So whenever we have to learn about the DMA, then the very first point which is very important is that there is a component called as the DMA controller. It plays a vital role in making the communication directly within the main memory. Okay, so what does the DMA controller and how does it functions? We will learn about them. Now, first thing is, whenever we are talking about the DMA, always the data is transferred in the form of blocks. Okay, a block of data is transferred between the high speed devices, and on which particular devices we can provide the DMA access only to the devices which are having the high speed access, okay, like disks. I said earlier also, like the flash drives are there, like the magnetic disks are there, like SSDs are there. Such kind of devices are considered faster. So only between these and the memory we can allow the direct memory access. So how this entire process initializes? The CPU initializes the DMA controller. Always it starts from the CPU only. CPU is the main component. Okay. So how does it send? As I said earlier also, it sends the memory address as well as the block size to the DMA controller. Okay. So this is the facility which is applicable or available within the CPU. CPU having the two control signals, bus grant and bus request. Whenever the DMA wants to access the main memory directly, so it will send the bus request, and if it has been granted, then this entire information only will be sent to the DMA controller by the CPU. Same is this. It will send the address bus, the data bus, the read and the write kind of information to the DMA controller. Now this is the entire block diagram of DMA controller. Here are the input output devices. And to this side, we are having the CPU. So what happens is, these are the three resistors: address resistor, word count, and the control resistors. These are important resistors to understand. Address resistor will hold the address or the start address from where the DMA will start referencing the memory. Okay. The word count resistor will hold the data or information about how many number of words the DMA has to access from the memory. And similarly, the control register is there, which will depict the DMA that how it can access the main memory. Okay, the method, the methodology, and the way through which the DMA will have the access to the main memory. So accordingly, the data provided in this registers will be taken to the data bus buffer, and in that way only the data will start its execution. So this DS is there, which is the DMA select. If this DS is equals to 0, it means DMA will not be selected. If it is 1, only then this entire operation will start its operating. Okay. This is the register select again, which register is to be selected and how it is to be selected, that information will be provided here. Then it is read and write. Now read and write will be in two ways. We need to read and write either into the this particular DMA also and into the main memory also. So this is the same bus request and bus grant signal been coming from the DMA to this particular CPU, right? As I was explaining you. And whenever any bus request signal is to be sent, it is always been taken as an interrupt by the processor. So interrupt signal will also be originated. And this device, the IO device, when it wants to access the DMA, it will send the DMA request to the DMA controller. Once this request is fulfilled, only then the acknowledgement will be sent back to this particular IO device. So this was the entire process of how the DMA controller works. You need not to go in detail about these and how this register select will work and all. Only this much of information is more than enough to understand about the DMA controller's functionality. Now, let's understand in more detail about how this entire DMA process will function and how the data transfer will take place. So usually what happens is, how the data can be transferred. There are two ways to transfer the data. One is the burst transfer, another is the cycle stealing mode. In the burst transfer, burst is always means in a bulk and the massive, right? So what happens is, a block sequence consisting of memory words is transferred in a continuous burst mode. So what we will do, we will keep on talking to the memory words or communicating with the memory words in a block sequence of blocks and in a continuous manner. And we will consider that the DMA is the main or the master of the memory bus. What happens is that when the CPU releases its control over the memory, it will provide the entire control to this DMA controller. So in the DMA controller, now this act as a master to access the memory rather than the processor. So this is the point. So if the data is being accessed through the bus transfer mode, then what will happen? The data will be accessed in a continuous manner from the main memory. And usually this bus transfer is being used for the devices which are very fast, such as the magnetic disks, okay, where the data transmission cannot be stopped or slowed down until the entire block is transmitted. So in that case only we prefer the burst transfer. Similarly, there is a second mode of transfer also, which we called as the cycle stealing mode. So this is usually the alternative technique which we called as the cycle stealing. It will allow the DMA controller to transfer the one data word at a time, after which it must have to return the control of the buses to the CPU. So what will happen? The CPU will give the access to the DMA controller to refer the main memory. Once it has referred or it has transferred the one word to the main memory, or it has referred that one word, then this DMA controller will release its bus to the CPU, so that CPU can access the main memory. Okay, then only again once it starts to again send the request or to access the memory, it will steal the another mode from the CPU. Okay, and then again will take the grant of all the buses to directly talk to the main memory. So this is a slower process. Only one word can be transmitted at a time. So why do we call it as a stealing mode or a cycle stealing? Because after once when it starts communicating or transferring the one word, okay, it has to take the grant of the buses from the CPU. So it will steal the one memory cycle of the processor, okay, from of the processor, and then we will use that memory cycle to refer to the memory unit. That is why it is called as the cycle stealing mode, because it is stealing the one cycle from the CPU. Otherwise the CPU would be accessing the main memory. Now it want to access, send the data or to transfer the data, it will steal the one memory cycle and will refer to the main memory directly. That's why it is called as the cycle stealing mode. So usually slower than that of the burst transfer. So these are the two modes being used when we have to transfer the data through the DMA data transfer. Now this is the last slide, which is depicting that how the entire process will go on. So it will all start from here. These are the peripheral devices. The peripheral devices will send the DMA request. Okay. Now what will happen? There is a DMA controller in between. The DMA controller will originate the interrupt signal as well as the bus request. Okay, it will request the CPU to give the hold of this entire bus. Now what the bus will be consisting of, the bus will have the information about whether to read or write the data, and to which particular address we need to refer in the main memory, and to which particular data we want to refer within the main memory, right? So this is the bus request being sent by the DMA controller to the CPU, and this is the interrupt signal because it is interrupting the CPU. Now CPU must be doing its own functionality of processing the main memory access, right? So it will simply send an interrupt signal to CPU to look at this. If the CPU is accepting this bus request, then in return the CPU will send this BG signal. BG is the bus grant signal. So once the bus grant signal has been sent by the CPU, okay, so what will happen in this case, the arrow should go, sorry, this is the bus request, this is the bus grant, the arrow should be towards the DMA controller, right? So what will happen, it will release all these buses to have the access to the DMA controller. Got it? So accordingly what will happen now, so now the entire process to access the memory directly will be taken by this DMA. So now the DMA is having the all control to access the data. So this is how this entire process will take place. So there is an address select being present here just to depict that which address is to be selected and which particular data is to be selected. So this is attached with the DMA select. So it should be one always, and the register select is the another, which register to be select, whether it could be the data register or address and all. So accordingly, the values present here, the read and write and the address value and the data line will be having a direct access to the main memory. So this is how the entire operation will take place. So once the data transfer has been done, it will send back an acknowledgement signal to the peripheral devices that yes, now the DMA has done with the transfer of the data to the main memory. So this is how the entire DMA process will take place. I hope that you have understood today's session. Thank you so much for watching this session.